Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Prasenjit Banerjee. I'm a senior research fellow in the Department of Statistics, University of Calcutta. So, I have worked on the comparison among different clustering and classification technique on spiral galaxies. Basically, in machine learning, we wish to leverage a computational machine to find pattern in the data and to translate those patterns into some useful information. So now machine learning algorithms are mainly divided into two groups. One is supervised and another one is unsupervised, which is also known as the predictive and descriptive study. Now, there are several clustering and classification technique involved in supervised and unsupervised learning. We will discuss about that gradually. Right now, what we have to study, that means what we used to deal with in daily life. Basically, we are astrostatisticians, right? So what is astrostatistics? It's a very new field. So basically, it's nothing but a statistical application on the astronomical data. Now, astronomy is the branch of science which deals with celestial objects, space, and other physical universe as a whole. Okay, and another one is statistics. Now, what is statistics? Statistics is basically the practice or science of collecting and analyzing numerical data in large quantity. That means, to some extent, to deal with some big data where the number of variables and the number of observations both are large, or either one of them will be large. Mainly, the purpose of inferring proportion in a whole from those in a representative sample. Now, astrophysicists explore physical properties of celestial objects, including the stars, planets, galaxies, globular clusters, and many others, and tries to model them. Our problem is to study the underlying properties of the galaxies on the basis of the observations related to a few important characteristics. So what we mainly do that, at first we have to collect the data. Okay, so there are several data banks to collect data on astronomy. One of them is XMatch. Another one is the SDSS Sky Survey data, and another one is Galaxy Zoo. Okay, so basically the present data is based on the SDSS data release 15. It is a cross-match collection of galaxy catalogs. Okay, now which is further used to study the galaxy formation and the evolution. Right. So basically, we will study whether the galaxy is classified as the strong bird, weak bird, or the unbird galaxy, and so on. The software which are used in this work or in this article is, one is the R and another one is the Python. And apart from that, we need I require the SQL commands which will help to extract data from the sky surveys. Right. Now, what is the let us give in a very nutshell what is the process of collecting the data. Initially, we have obtained the data of all possible spiral galaxies from SDS's website using the SQL query, where the bird and the onboard ID is not mentioned initially. But after the cross match, or with the help of cross match, we have extracted 26,089 galaxies with 116 parameters, which is very large actually, of which 1770, that is 7.3% of the bar is to onboard ratio, that is 7.3% of the bar amongst the all onboard are found out to be bird, and the rest, that is 24,319, are onboard. The list of the bird galaxies are obtained from the Zooniverse website. After that, they have been cross-matched with the SDSS study, and we have obtained our master data. And on that master data, we have applied some statistical applications and machine learning application, artificial intelligence, to extract some information. We have found some really noble findings in this paper. The main nobility of this paper is that based on any astronomical data set under consideration, one may decide about the proper methods of clustering and classification while working with the parameters of the galaxy. It was a very noble thing that we have find in this data. Anyway, uh, let's stick to the point. After that, we have divided the SDSS data in between barred and the unbarred by cross-matching technique with this universe data, as I mentioned earlier. For cross-match, we have defined 2 points, that is right ascension and declination. As same, if they were within the distance r, that means we have considered the two data points to be same if they are within the r arc second, within the arc second which are present within the r arc second, and the radius, basically the radius of the circle is r, and on that circle a with the help of that radius a circle is drawn. If 2 points falls within the circle, they are considered to be same. And in this particular data, during the extraction, we have taken r as 1 arc second. It can be taken as 5 arc second too, but we have taken only 1 arc second. Now the, as it is a galactic sphere, as it is in galactic plane, so the distance is not linear in shape. The distance is basically given by cos theta is equal to sine del 1 into sine del 2 plus cos del 1 into cos del 2 multiplied by cos alpha 1 minus alpha 2, where alpha 1 del 1 and alpha 2 del 2 are the right ascension and declination of the 2 points on the sky, which are expressed in degrees, and after that it is converted in radians. Okay, now the data structure. Thus we now have a data set of 26,800 galaxies with 116 properties of them. The data description along with the few data is given in the link, which is already shared in the particular slide. As some of the properties are obtained as a function of others, so we will study the main 48 properties from the dataset. A glimpse of our data and its description is given below. Okay, so basically this is our dataset. Okay, the dataset consists of several parameters. For example, the leak indices, the, what should I say, the Balmer, sigma Balmer line, the OII, the what should I mention, the gamma line, and many others. For example, the basically it will represent, for example, the DN 4000. Okay, the DN 4000 present here mentioned. Okay, the list of the parameters have been done in the next slide. These are the list of the parameters used in our data set. Now this leak denotes the leak indices. The leak indices is nothing but the stellar absorption line indices. Okay, after that the DN 4000 denotes the break in the spectrum at 4000 angstrom. Sigma Balmer denotes the velocity dispersion measured simultaneously on the bubble line in kilometer per sec. Okay, so H delta equivalent denotes the equivalent width for absorption. UG, RIZ are all the absolute magnitude. Small UG, small UG, RIZ in small letters denote the apparent magnitude minus the apparent magnitude. Okay, all denote the apparent magnitude, and so on, etc., etc. The C denotes the Petrosian, the concentration index, which is nothing but the ratio of two Sarsig indexes. Okay. Anyway, the all of them are mentioned over here. Ratio of the Petrosian plus. Anyway, clustering of different objects is a problem of primary interest in many statistical applications. Depending on the nature and the shape of the data set, one has to decide about the proper application of the clustering technique. A comparative study among various available techniques based on empirical studies required. There is also a need of judgment to decide upon the best technique based on the post classifier, which is very important actually. We have tried to put some light on that particular object in our article. So an appropriate post classification approach is also required. In particular, we are interested in astronomical data and many such data sets, which are large in both number of observation as the number of variables considered, which I have mentioned previously. We have worked on the data of spiral galaxies that we have gathered for the first problem to study the applicability of some of the clustering techniques in a particular genre of astronomical data. This study will help us to observe what type of clustering techniques our dataset supports and what is the reason behind it. Till now, we have applied a few clustering techniques such as the k-means, x-means, k-medoids, fuzzy c-means, GMMBC, that is Gaussian mixture-based clustering with the prior of flat as well as the Dirichlet, SOM, spectral, and many others. Okay, so and many others. The cluster now after the clustering is done, okay, the cluster validation is also an important issue in clustering and classification. Some of the class some of the validation indices are Dunn validation index, Baldwin validity index, C index, Siloed validity index, and many more. Now, the Davis Baldwin validity index is used in our present work. It is given by nothing but the average of SI, SJ, and over MIJ, where SI, SJ are nothing but the distance that is mentioned in the last point, is the distance of each observation from the center of the ith cluster, and with taking the second order norm, that is L2 norm. As usual, capital N knows the number of observation, where capital X is the data matrix, and MIG is nothing but the distance of the two objects in the data cloud. The Davis Baldwin scores for each of the clustering technique is mentioned over here. We can study, as we know that the lower the Davis Baldwin score, the better is the clustering technique, and we can see that in k-means the Davis Baldwin score is the least, that is 1.35, which proves that k-means is a very nice clustering technique that has been used in our work. After applying all these unsupervised learning techniques, a post-classification scenario is demanded by applying some of the supervised classification techniques, such as nearest neighbor classifier. We have used the KNN. After that, the naive Bayes, support vector machines, random forest, classification, regression tree, and many more. The accuracy score for each of the given technique is given below. So why should we need the accuracy score? With the help of this accuracy score, we can comment how precise our classification technique is, and as well as how robust it is with respect to the unsupervised technique used. This is the basically the matrix, or the matrix given matrix that gives an idea about the classification as well as the clustering technique of different what should I say, of different accuracy scores. Okay, so anyway, this is the matrix. After that, the similarity between the cluster obtained from the various techniques are addressed. Finally, we have observed the similarity between the clusters obtained by the k-means and the clusters obtained by the rest of the clustering techniques. The study is completely based on different statistical measures, considering simultaneously and the assignment problem to the cost matrix. The cost being taken as the absolute value of the different statistical measures between the two set of clusters. Bipartite diagram shows the relationship between the cluster from the k-means and the cluster obtained on the other techniques. Okay, the bipartite mapping is given below, where the red point denotes the x-means, the orange one denotes the spectral, and so on, and the turquoise color denotes the k-means, and so on. The basic findings that we have found, that it can be said that the through k-means or x-means performs quite well with respect to the given data. Okay, and it is not able to behave as a proper pre-classifier to reflect the predictive nature of classification based on the naive-Bayes technique. Although GMBC approach is not the best technique for clustering as far as the data set is concerned, but it plays a very good role as a pre-classifier or training samples to predict the nature of the classification based on the naive-Bayes technique. Whereas most of the classification techniques, such as the KNN, random forest, and CART, shows that the classifier works best in case of k-means and x-means, moderate in case of k-medoids, fuzzy, and GMMBC, with different choices of prior, of course, not well in case of SOM and spectral. It is also observed that in GMBC clustering techniques, CART performs completely different in different choices of prior. It performs extremely well for Dirichlet, whereas it performs moderately well in case of GMBC. The support vector does not work well for any of the clustering technique. We can say that the three clustering techniques, such as the KNN, random forest, and the CART, projects a similar result in classifying the data set in the consideration. The methods k-means, x-means, followed by GMBC may be preferred over the remaining clustering techniques for the particular data set. The three techniques, such as k-means, x-means, and GMBC, works best as clustering technique as far the data set is concerned. Hence, it is concluded that whatever the post-classifier technique used, we will come to the same conclusion that if we are exposed to this type of data set, or in a broader aspect, any astronomical data set. These are the references that has been used by me. Anyway, thanks a lot. Due to the time constraints, we can't carry forward more, but thanks a lot. And it's been a really honor for me to share my opinion on this topic in this prestigious award. Thanks a lot.